It never happens at a good time. The pipe bursts at midnight. The heater quits on the coldest night. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed. That's when HomeServe is here. For $4.99 a month, you're never alone. Just call their 24/7 hotline and a local pro is on the way. Trusted by millions, HomeServe delivers peace of mind when you need it most. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to HomeServe.com. That's HomeServe.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville. Well, welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville. Join us as we explore the crew of the USS Orville and seek out the meanings, morals, and messages in the episode Loja to see if it aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. My name is Mike Richards.
And I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts, ideas, and tell us what we missed at ML_the Orville on Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook, or you can email us at missionlog-theorville@roddenberry.com. And if you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe, please. Oh, and remember, we just might use your comments on an upcoming episode. And now, here's Mike with the great release of the recap.
Man, if I had that hard a time getting through the intro, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but here goes nothing. Prologue. It's a quiet night in the mess hall. It's been a few months since we last saw the crew. Henry Mancini's As Time Goes By plays on the newly replicated record player. Ed's at the bar. He's a little depressed. The bartender's a little judgy. And Alara joins them for a double Zilean tequila. Have you ever wondered what the crew of the Orville does when there's no krill confrontation or spatial anomaly? Yeah, it's just one of those days. Like most days. Ed's been at the bar a lot lately, and Alara offers him an ear if he ever needs one. Bortus joins the two, but not to imbibe. He has a request. He'd like the Orville to proceed to Moclus for his Loja, the yearly Moclin ritual celebrating the cleansing of the spirit and the beginning of a new year. In other words, it's time for the Orville's number 2 to go number 1. Act 1. Ed and Kelly brief the crew. En route to Moclus, they'll pick up Lieutenant Janelle Tyler, their new dark matter cartographer. The Loja will be followed by a celebration in the mess hall, and everyone is invited to attend, with a mate. Later, Kelly stops by Ed's office to talk. Ed offers to give it another shot, and Kelly counter-offers by telling Ed that she's been seeing someone for about a month. Her position remains unchanged. Regardless of whatever feelings she may or may not have for Ed, it's inappropriate for a captain and their FO to be involved. At Outpost 58, Lieutenant Tyler arrives on board. She reports to the bridge to introduce herself and asks to check out the navigational array. Although Gordon is smitten with the new scientist, it's clear that the best helmsman in the Planetary Union has the worst game on the ship. In Dr. Finn's quarters, Isaac is teaching Ty how to play the piano when Marcus shows up with his new friend James. James is a douche, and Marcus is acting like a douche. Claire shares her concerns about James, which causes Marcus to storm off to his room. Frustrated, Claire asks Isaac to play something sweet and jazzy. He responds by playing Henry Mancini's As Time Goes By on the piano. Act 2. James is able to hack a food synthesizer and replicate a bottle of vodka. James, Marcus, and an unnamed accomplice run off as we join Alara, Gordon, and Bortus in the mess hall. Gordon has a crush on Janelle. Well, not a crush on the new cartographer, but he is asking Alara about her. Did she ask about me? Does she have a boyfriend? Is she married? When it becomes that Gordon has zero game, she tells him to go see John. He's got game. So much game that he dated both heads of a two-headed alien at the same time without the other head finding out. If all goes well, Gordon can ask Janelle to the Loja. We join Marcus and James in their classroom. James is still a douche, and Marcus is still acting like one. Turns out Kelly's new beau is the teacher himself. Cassius? Or is it Cassius? Cassius. Got it. Ed decides to take a break from looking at old pictures of him and Kelly and take a shuttle out for a ride. You know, just to clear his head and get some air in space and spy on his ex-wife. As she's inviting Cassius, to go public and attend the Loja, she catches Ed spying on them from the shuttle. The two decide to retreat to the environmental simulator, where they find James and Marcus with that third boy with a bottle of vodka, getting kind of buzzed. Act 3. Marcus is in big trouble. He's told he's not to hang out with James anymore, he's not to hack any food synthesizers anymore, and he's not to ask any questions anymore. Claire wants to know what his deal is, why he's acting like he hates the universe, but won't tell her why. She asks Isaac for advice, but just can't bring herself to murder her son. In the replicator store, John is giving Gordon some solid advice. Always go with one more zipper than you're comfortable with. So many zippers that you can walk in and be like, boom. Yeah. Gordon's still nervous, but it's nothing that one more zipper and a little training in the simulator can't help. In the mess hall, Lieutenant Dan shows up to chat with Laura. Bortus thinks they'll make a couple, and they agree to have drinks together at Muska's. Sweetness. On their date, Dan shows up with a poem that he wrote, which is a little much for a first date, and a little too much for Laura. Kelly calls out Ed on his flyby, and he can't believe she's dating Cassius, the two-hand team man. Believe it or not, Ed might like him if you would get to know him. Kelly's pissed, and wants Cassius to be pissed too, but he's not. He understands Ed's feelings, and asks Kelly to calm down, which really pisses Kelly off. Ed stops by Cassius' quarters to apologize for the flyby, and learns that Cassius and Kelly are fighting. Ed offers some advice. Don't say calm down. Be a little stupid every day. Be really stupid once in a while. Get some Merlot, put on dinner, and play Open Arms by Journey. Act 4. In sickbay, James' parents show up to express their concerns about Marcus. You see, all of this was Marcus's idea. Sure, James went along, and that was wrong, but all of this started when James started hanging around with Marcus. Well, there's only one way to get to the truth. Parent-teacher conference. And Isaac agrees to join Claire. And it's a good thing he's able to prove that James has been hacking his grades, which indicates that he, not Marcus, hacked the food synthesizer. Claire is so impressed, she invites Isaac to the Loja. It's go time for Gordon. Janelle is sitting by herself. Sorry, can't do it. Thanks for the help. Bye. On Moclus, Bortus reaches Loja with his family and friends in attendance. During the reception, all is well with Cassius and Kelly. Gordon is touched by Lieutenant Dan's poetry. The Finns thank Isaac for his help. Ed's at the bar wondering how he'll feel if Kelly and Cassius do end up together. Olix, the bartender, advises him to never make predictions in matters of love. They're usually dead wrong. They're joined by Janelle. As time goes by, plays in the background. The end.
Nice job, Mike.
Well, I struggled through it. Loja is hard to say.
No one thought you were struggling through it. Listen.
Thanks.
Even Bortus struggled through the Loja.
He did. That did sound like quite a relief, though, for him.
I really, really wish that they just they let us hear it.
So they did. There was a cut where they did. You could hear the kind of the zip and the stream, if you will. That I could only imagine is probably quite strong from from Moclus.
Yeah.
But they did cut it out because it was Seth actually cut it out himself. Because
was it too gratuitous?
It felt like it was too funny. Felt like although it was sort of a little bit of a joke or a funny situation, it felt like it was almost too demeaning or too funny, too disrespectful of the Moclus culture.
I love that.
So it got taken out, and I thought that was a great decision. Scott Grimes told a story about how funny it was during the filming of that, because he did actually go.
What?
Yeah. Bortus did actually go, which is under quite a bit of pressure. Can't imagine that that,
That's
many of us would be able to pull that off. However, they were all having a hard time keeping it together for that scene.
How could you keep it together?
I don't think you could.
Also, why did he literally pee? What's the point?
Do not know.
That is so funny.
Yeah, but this whole one was written by Seth and directed by Seth also. And the idea was to sort of reintroduce the fans, the world, to the crew.
Right.
It had been off the air for about a year between seasons 1 and seasons 2. So it was just sort of a kind of a day in the life, if you will. And it gave us a chance to see the crew sort of going about the day to day.
Yeah.
Like Seth said, like Ed Mercer said in the beginning, not every day is a krill confrontation or a spatial anomaly or a crashed shuttle or hijacking a planet's culture with a false idol, mad idolatry. So this was just one of those days that was going on. And we see Jason Alexander, and I think it's great because he's still doing shows about nothing. And
elaborate.
Well, the bartender, Olix, played by Jason Alexander, George Costanza from Seinfeld, which famously was the show about nothing. And I wonder if his agent said, you know what, Jason, you're a huge Star Trek fan, and we are going to get you on Seth MacFarlane's The Orville, and it's going to be a great episode. There's going to be a krill confrontation and a spatial anomaly and a crashed shuttle. And he said, no, I only do shows about nothing. So they came up with this episode,
this whole
specifically.
Concept.
Yeah, of course I kid. Jason Alexander did play George Costanza for 179 episodes of Seinfeld. He guest starred on a 5th season episode of Voyager called Think Tank. Played James T. Kirk in 1999's Ultimate Trek, Star Trek's Greatest Moments.
Really?
It was just sort of a funny, comedic skit that they did as they voted on, or actually showed the voting of best episodes from each series and other things. It's available on YouTube if you want to watch it. And also look for Jason playing the role of Dr. Naum on Star Trek Prodigy coming up here.
I didn't know he was a Star Trek fan. Yeah,
and if you're watching Star Trek Prodigy, check out Mission Log Prodigy on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. But yeah, great, big Star Trek fan. Does a great William Shatner, or really a great Captain Kirk, I should say.
It's not surprising. He's so talented. Also,
he really is.
I mean, it's really an obvious statement, but he does do swagger and false confidence so well.
He does. He really does.
George Costanza just really is one of the best things out there, and it's all because of him for sure.
Yeah, and he will be back, and he does portray sort of the role of Larry David on that show. That's who his character George Costanza's modeled after. So if you're a Larry David fan and you haven't watched Seinfeld, I don't know that subset of people exists, but if you're not, check it out. I think you're gonna love it.
That's a really good point, though. Like, maybe there just is that young group of kids that just missed the Seinfeld bucket, but are like on the Larry David, curb bucket. That could be really interesting.
Yeah.
So you're so right. This is the season premiere for season 2, and it does kind of feel, it doesn't feel like a relaunch or like a repilot, but it does feel like, hey guys, remember these people? Because we talked about how smart it was for the show to introduce us episode by episode to this large, wonderful, colorful cast of people by giving them basically vehicle episodes where we got to see them shine and lead or see the emotions that they got to go through. And so in this episode, there's so much story going on here.
There's no less than five plot lines, 5 B plots going on at the same time
that intersect wonderfully and simply, and nothing feels rushed. And actually, this is a similar thought. I was going to mention the music because I love how you talk about the music, and you have it written here that John Debney did the music.
Correct.
This show knows how to use its orchestra well, and it uses, orchestration well, but it also knows how to stop using music. Like, I love when we have scene transitions where it's just quiet, like when Alara steps out of the date with Dan, and the next thing we see is Seth, Ed go to talk to Cassius.
Cassius, got it.
Well, and it's funny, like, if you think about Seinfeld, boom, ba-dum, boom, 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 like between every, transition, this show uses that sparingly, or also knows how to punctuate things without using music to do it. Similar to like There Will Be Blood. I don't know if you remember, that was a big deal when There Will Be Blood came out, because so much of like the tense moments had no music. And
yes.
I believe it was the bassist from Radiohead that wrote that soundtrack, but it was purposeful. Like, it made you go, well, why isn't there music and what's wrong? I don't know. I think it's a really expert way to use its timing and pacing and silence to have some impact on us.
I agree. And the show wasn't anywhere near kind of a reboot or soft reboot or soft repilot or anything like that. It had been off the air. It had been over a year between seasons. So that introduction, in the Shuttle Bay in Old Wounds was probably about a year and a half ago in real time for anybody watching the show.
What was the reason for not having this show on for a full year? Do you know?
I don't know. I just don't. It might have been a sort of a summer replacement one season, and then came out maybe towards the end of the next season.
Sure.
But it did give us a chance to look at all of the characters again and get a couple of new ones. So we mentioned Jason Alexander, and we have Michaela McManus, who I know her as Lindsay Strauss from One Tree Hill.
Okay.
And you may know her from Aquarius with David Duchovny. That was a miniseries that was set in 1967, kind of a sort of Vietnam hippie era Age of Aquarius story, Law and Order SVU, and also in the Vampire Diaries. And based on how this episode ended, with her saddling up next to the bar and throwing one down with Ed, we may just see her again.
I will say this lightly. Based on her performance, she got more episodes added, and that's all I will say.
Really? Because I noticed she was uncredited in this episode, and I did not know why.
I know why.
Although I have heard speculations, so we'll leave that, because I don't think we want to put, if people are watching this week by week as they listen to this, as I tend to do when I'm listening to the other Mission Log shows, we'll maybe
that's all I'm saying. Is based on a performance, she was given more episodes, and it's not surprising that she wasn't. It's not surprising that she was unlisted. It's not surprising.
Okay. And we also had Will Sasso from.
I didn't clock that.
Yeah, so he played Muska. So that I don't think that restaurant appeared at all. Muska's restaurant, where Alara and Lieutenant Dan had drinks.
Was it not the holodeck or the
mess hall?
Is it a real? Is it no? Is it a real restaurant, or did they create it in the room?
Oh no, I think it's a real restaurant. I think they have a real live restaurant on the Orville in season 2. Kind of like how season 2 of Next Gen was the first time we saw 10 Forward. I kind of equated it like that. So.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but Mad TV alumnus, just has done a ton of stuff, and I just threw a couple of Seth MacFarlane connections out. Worked Family Guy as well as The Cleveland Show. I was on Shameless, and just so many other roles.
And the woman who literally my name just went blank, but who voices Lois is from Mad TV as well. So it's not surprising that he's got a list of people that he would like to work with from Mad TV. That's not surprising at all. I remember it blew my mind when I heard who it was. I have to look it up now because I can't just vaguely voice of Lois.
Yeah, I know she plays Mrs. Maisel, agent, manager / agent.
Alex Bornstein's, yeah.
Yeah, she is so funny.
She is very funny.
But like you said, this is from your notes. So much story in this episode, and it doesn't feel crammed. The critical response of season 1 was the fans loved it. Like if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's up around 90 something percent. Season 1 has from the fans. From the critics, it's like 65%. And then you go to season 2, and it's much, 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 much higher from the critics. It's up around 100% critical response.
What?
Yeah, as far as favorable versus unfavorable.
Wow.
Upvotes versus downvotes, if you will. People
Lamar.
felt like this show really did a nice job by taking a chance and sort of putting plot aside to develop the characters in this episode, and I think that was great.
Again, this is something you were talking about, how you wanted to, like, quote unquote, encourage other shows to take the time to introduce us to characters like they do here on the Orville. But, you know, and I'm the kind of viewer where if I like a bunch of people on a ship, or if I like a bunch of people on a show, I'm not going to walk around and say season 5 of Community is the worst season. I like season 5 of Community because we have all the major players for the most part, right?
Right.
And again, by the end of the 2 seasons, you know, in Community, as an example, they're hemorrhaging main characters, so it does kind of get hard to follow and love it along. But I'm very rarely critical of, like, season 2 to season 3, because if you love these people, you're just going to want to see what they're going to go through.
And that's really kind of what this episode is all about. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Data's Day on
So I'm not familiar with that
Next
episode,
Gen.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's just, Data's writing a letter to his good friend Bruce Maddox, who at one point tried to get him disassembled to study, but they, like many things on Star Trek, they were adversaries who then went on to become friends. And he's just writing him about his day, and he's just walking around and kind of helping. Let me see if I can remember some of the stuff. He's helping Keiko and O'Brien plan their marriage. He's trying to learn how to dance so he get to see the dancing doctor, Gates McFadden, show off some of her dancing skills.
Was it the jazz outfit that she was wearing? I think I do remember this episode. It's early in the series, right?
Yeah,
like season 3 or something?
It sure is.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So, yeah, and it's kind of a favorite. And if you love Next Gen or Deep Space Nine or any of those shows, and you just love those characters, and obviously if this show does go on for, looks like we got a third, if it goes on for 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons, we're really gonna, many people are really gonna fall in love with these characters, and they're gonna love to see them and watch them just be them. And that's kind of what we're getting out of this.
Totally.
This episode, I think.
And knowing where we go from this episode into season 2,
See, I don't know.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I mean, I watched them all in these would have been sometime, I guess, in 2018, 2019. These episodes. So I did watch them. The only episode I really remember well is Remember Me, because I watched it probably 4 or 5 times.
Totally. I guess that's my point, and I will say nothing more. The next few episodes that we get are wonderful. It's some of the best sci-fi TV out there, storytelling TV. I'm really excited for you to relive these things. I love it when you've been away from something long enough to be surprised by something, or like, oh, I forgot that's what happened. And I'm really excited for our listeners who are watching it along with us beat by beat to get to some of these episodes. In fact, a lot of it still sticks with me because it's so memorable, and I have forgot it was in this episode, or maybe I knew it was coming up. I forgot we were getting into season 2, but I love it. I love it when Gordon walks up to Janelle and walks right around her. And
Nope,
I think
can't do it, thanks, bye.
I think about it all the time. It is such simple, funny storytelling.
I thought that was so funny. I was getting fitted for a uniform once, and they had ties that you could tie. They had ties that were clip-on, and they had ties that were like a zipper. And the woman doing the uniform fitting had a shirt with like 4 zippers on each sleeve and like another zipper here and like, down the middle and like kind of one, on each shoulder and that kind of thing. And I asked her about the zipper tie, and she goes, I don't really know anything about it. And I go, that's kind of funny. I thought you would know your way around a zipper.
Michael.
Because of the
Did
shirt
she kick
she
you
had
out?
on, Jessica. No, she didn't. But my buddy that was standing next to me was gone. Like I turned to look at him, and he was gone.
My God. I listen, contextually.
It was an innocent comment. I meant nothing by it.
And aren't they all usually? Like, honestly, it is brilliant. But
yeah, I was laughing out loud at the zipper scene. Not gonna lie, and I loved the always have one more zipper than you're comfortable with.
We're gonna need another zipper.
That is great advice. That may end up in the morals, meanings, and messages of this episode. I'm not sure. You'll have to stick around until.
I look forward to debate you on that
until the end for that. So yeah, Lieutenant Dan with his big dumb stupid head.
Oh, don't
having
be
a hard
specious.
Time. Well, I just, I'm reading your note, and you said, I feel like Dan's saying a species has a hard time dating off planet.
Hold on. This is what I was saying.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay. Not because of the big fat
it's not.
Stupid head.
Well, hold on. I think Dan, so Lieutenant Dan, who we talked about, made the elevator music happen in season 1. Who seems like just a nice guy who can't fit in, right?
Right.
Bortus thinks that him and Alara will mate well. And really, what's happening is... everyone's been invited to the Loja party on the mess hall.
And it's bad luck to show up without a date, right?
Correct. So everyone's scramble. And, Alara agrees to go on this date. Says, great, set me up. And Dan comes up to her excited, that he's gotten paired up with her.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, let's take a step back. When Gordon goes to the simulation that Lamar had created, where he has to go up to a woman to hit on her, level 7 is... I just been hit on by everybody. I just broke up with my boyfriend. I don't want to, And he lies to her, says he has 6 months to live. And it works.
Oh,
do you
yeah.
remember?
I do.
So that's a good guilt trip that Gordon put on that woman to get her to agree to have a drink. Dan complains, saying that it's just really hard for my species to meet people with my big head. And, and I think he was playing the pity card.
Okay. So I thought I was genuinely taking pity on him. You think he was playing the card? I think that's brilliant.
I'm just putting it out there that it's...
No, I didn't think of it that way.
It's a similar... It could be seen as a similar
tactic. But you got to be on the receiving end of so many of these things where guys are like, hey, I just, have a hard time meeting girls.
You know what? People... Well, I don't know how much I give off the aura of wanting to be hit on in general. I've been inappropriately touched in places where, like a guy will poke my sides or grab my hand and try and pull me on the dance floor.
No touchy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and it's always because alcohol's involved. It's never smooth. It's never being hit on, or or guys when they're like, "Hey, you want to drink?" and you go, "Hey, I'm not interested." They go, "I'm not asking you because I just want," So like, let's put it this way: we don't have a lot of people that know how to be straightforward out here. And again, the older I've gotten, the less I'm like, oh, who's going to talk to me? But I think if you know human nature well enough, it just seemed like a card that he pulled out when he didn't have anything left to lose.
It does, and I didn't see that at all, so thank you for doing that. And I'm also wondering the fact that he did pull the card out, and because probably he had to. Like, Gordon had to pull that card out because it was level 8. And plus that he's got 0 game. So that's probably why those two bonded so well at the end.
Yes.
Which I'm just seeing now, which you're like, yeah.
Oh,
you think?
I think that's what made me recognize that because I'm like, okay, he did end up finding a match in Gordon with the poetry and how they're feeling. I'm like, oh, these two suck in the same way.
So, but Gordon is the best pilot or the best helmsman in the Planetary Union, right? He's got Lieutenant Janelle Tyler sitting down next to him. All he has to say is, welcome aboard. If there's anything you can do, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. And my quarters are on C deck if you need anything. That's all he needs. Like, even if he did that, you'd have gone too far. Like, he didn't have to be like, hey, I love my job. My job's so good. How do I win at life so much?
It's so sad, and it's so painful, and he plays it so well. Scott Grimes plays it so well. I'll say this for anyone who's actually trying to take pointers from either Lamar or Gordon or Dan, just be nice to us. Just say, hey, ask us how our day is, and move the F on. We don't make a big deal out of it. Listen, I know I'm as hot as that lady Janelle is, so just talk to me like a human being.
Just be yourself, be nice.
And maybe I'll want to hear your poetry later.
Be sincere. Those 3 things. as somebody that successfully survived dating, and didn't marry until I was almost 35.
Remains to be seen.
I was out there for a good long time. Just be nice, be yourself, and be sincere. Speaking of being sincere, I loved Ed trying to lie about the shuttle log. He's like, your name's on the shuttle log. He's like, oh, Gordon. It's like, what about Gordon? Yeah, it's a thing we do where we put each other's names on the shuttle log. And somebody's like, hey, you took a shuttle down. I'm like, oh my God, no, I didn't.
That's such a Family Guy moment to me. And it reminds me that while Seth MacFarlane isn't a hugely evocative on his face in general, it's just like how his face is built, he gets intonation of human nature so well, especially because of how he plays both Stewie, not both, Peter, Stewie, and Brian in Family Guy. They're so emotive, and that takes, that's a heavy acting job to do that.
It is.
And in that moment, he really was. We know he's lying. We know he knows we know he's lying. And yet he's just, I don't know. I am a fan. I'm a fan of his humor. It's so dumb. Like, one of my favorite Family Guy moments of all time, and I can't be alone in this, is, well, you would write to this story, and you have a sad protagonist, and I would go. And so Stewie's like egging Brian on for not writing the novel, and he gets higher and higher, and he's going to have a revelation that he's going to lie, and it's so human nature, and I hate it, and I love it so much.
It is. It was great. So he goes from trying to lie, where he's like, and we're like, oh my God,
oh my God.
And he's like, Cassius? Really? Cassius? Or is it Cassius?
Yeah.
Cassius? Okay, so Cassius. So he goes from lying to being petty
on a dime.
As Isaac would say, in about 1/1,000,000th of a nanosecond.
That's how long it took me to learn the piano and to lie. Yeah, because he's so caught. He's so beyond. Like, he sees her see him while he's on the shuttle. And it is so uncomfortable when he just scrolls up to see her in the shuttle. Like, are they not moving? Oh, they're docked. They must be docked, right? They have to be.
Well, I mean, they could be moving, sort of a relative speed to each other.
I know, but that's a lot of science that I'm not interested in.
They're on there. If you're wondering how they eat and breathe and all that science stuff, just remember, it's just a show.
Ah, there we go.
It's really just for fun.
I realized that the sound of the door, like the shuttle door closing, and like the doors, as opposed to the Star Trek, shh, shh, it's a door. It's like, it's like literally a Ford SUV. It's the sounding of a trunk. It's a real simple sound, and I I give him credit for not overthinking it. Yeah.
And it's got to be different. So the Kelly and Ed thing, I do want to talk about that stuff, but I think that's maybe later.
Yeah, agreed.
And man, I'm just starting to think about the after party. Do you see Topa?
It's frightening.
Yes.
And they don't explain it.
No, I think that's just how Moclans mature.
Totally.
Grow, age.
Blossom, it is. I can't never think about it when I think about Topa that he is 14 and 2 months old, or 6 months old max, and that is how Moclans, they must age, but they also must hit like a wall of age or maturity. It must be like the reverse of that TOS episode where the children stay children for thousands of years.
Yes.
So it's the reverse, where they get old really quickly and then just stay at that age.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put the Moclans above some sort of, genetic engineering over time where they kind of age up, like the Jem'Hadar, or even like the Clone Army in Star Wars, in the Star Wars franchise.
Something to think about with Moclans, too. We learn in this episode that they only urinate once a year. And you made a really excellent point last podcast, or maybe offhand to me before we started recording, that wouldn't you think he would know when he needed to go to the bathroom if it's once a year?
Yeah, like maybe put that on the schedule a couple of months out.
As opposed to having to completely diverge there. Anyway, you bring up a good point with that. If they only release urine once a year, it would suggest that number 2 doesn't go anywhere either. And I have further theory to prove that based off of the drink that they shared with Ed.
Do tell.
In the previous episode, they drink that drink, whatever it's called. You know, they do where they hit the knife in the hand. What's the drink?
I don't remember.
And then
Lechcom is the game. I forget the name of the
Lopsada is the drink. Pretty sure that's how it's called. And he's like, well, I wonder what it looks like when it's coming out. He goes, oh, it's not meant to come out. It turns into a parasite in the body, and it's very enjoyable. Okay. So even the drink, think about they're like a trash compactor in their stomach.
Yeah. And they've got a parasite in there too, you know, a Opsada-induced parasite that might,
right?
You know, sort of might.
Do they poop
handle the waste
metal blocks?
I don't know.
Twice a year or something. I'm really curious. We'll just never know. But I think, you know,
we'll have to wait for the premiere of season 3.
You know what I'm feeling?
See what the ritual is when they go back for number 2.
Number 2.
Which, speaking of this, a little similarity to Amok Time, where Ponfar is introduced. Season 2, Episode 1 of Star Trek: The Original Series.
Correct.
Kind of a similarity there. And there was an episode with the Ed and Kelly story that was similar to a TNG episode called Lessons, where Captain Jean-Luc Picard is dating, I believe, a stellar cartographer. Ooh. Coincidence? I don't think so. Ooh. And she ends up being put in a pretty precarious position, almost dying, but then they decided that they couldn't date anymore because it would compromise his decision-making ability.
You are so right that there is so much more to talk about in the morals, meanings, and messages section, because I want to talk about just that, Mike.
Okay, please do. You want to take us into the transition?
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side.
So we've come to the part of the show where we explore the big ideas in the episode Loja and discuss the meanings, morals, and messages to see if they align with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. So Jess, what do you got? What do you want to talk about?
Well, there's so much to talk about, but one of the things that carries over from last episode to now was Ed and Kelly can't date. And Ed has gotten just even more deep in his feelings and, you know, is just feeling so self-righteous about being in love with Kelly that it transcends all these things. But Kelly's argument's still the same, that if he had to choose to send her into her death for a mission, would he be able to make that decision? It's one of the things she makes an argument about.
It's a good argument.
I argue that would he be able to, regardless whether they're in a relationship or not, based on their history?
Well, he's got the feelings there right now. So would he now order her into a dangerous situation, like you said, whether they're dating or not? Is that the question? Like, even if they're not dating, does his feelings for her still prevent him from treating her like any other officer?
I think that is my question, because ultimately what I can understand about the human sensibilities in general is based off of being a human myself, mind you. You can be in love with somebody and not be with them. You can love somebody and not be in love with them. I don't know that Ed will ever stop loving Kelly, and vice versa. He even tries to grill her to ask, do you love me? And she evades the question several times.
She would not answer, right.
She doesn't answer it. I just don't know that it's a perfect argument that whether they're together or not, he would be able to make a selfless decision and send her in to do her job that would risk her life.
It's a really good point, because he makes it clear that he is in love with her. So his decision-making ability, in my mind, is already compromised.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that she wants to be next to him and work with him, and I think he does want that too. And it's so... This is where TV and movies screw up little girls like myself. It's so romantic to see men love women. It's so romantic. Yep, and we always expect that they're going to come around and figure it out, and she's totally rejecting him, and it's sad, and it's...
Well, it screws up us too, you know, because there's this don't let anything tell you no, you know, don't be a coward. Mm-hmm. Go after her if you're in love with her. And I think it forces some people to go probably one step too far, to not take no for an answer. And I don't mean, you know, in a physical way, but in a trying to form a relationship kind of way.
Yes, I think there's a couple things that are confusing about that, though, too, from the men I've talked to about that. Like, they were always told is more is better. So, like, it's a numbers game versus, fall in love with someone that you really love. So ask all the people out, as opposed to, I actually really like this girl. And so, yes, it's not necessarily don't hear no for an answer so much as like, I don't know who's going to say yes. So let's figure that. So like, whether it's human nature that, you know, the chicken or the egg in that situation, some of the men I've talked to about this very thing were taught to just make it a numbers game versus like a specialty game. Yeah,
that has not been the way anyway that I've looked at it.
Great.
Sadly.
Yeah.
But you can also get yourself in a different kind of trouble when you convince yourself that this is my soulmate, this is the one for me, and I will exhaust all possible options to try to make it happen. Because at one point you just got to give up and move on and realize it ain't right.
Are you trying to talk to me subconsciously or subtextually? Because it's not. It's a little too close to home right now.
Am I? Do you think?
Yeah,
am I coming after? Am I coming after you?
This whole episode is tough, and I guess that's good writing.
Are you trying to tell me to stop hitting on you, Jessica? Because
no. Now we have to have a talk though. I did pull out the sentence, the quote that Ed says, because actually I'd rather debate it as opposed to say that he's right. But he does say to Kelly, if two people, she's like, the timing's bad, you know, because they're working together, whatever. And he says, if two people care about each other, the choice to love should transcend timing. Anything less is cowardice. And that is a beautiful sentiment, and it's so powerful. And we do see him, you know, something about being in love with somebody. There's a lot of shame when you break up with somebody, or there's a lot of shame when you break up with somebody and, you know, at the end of a relationship, sometimes even going into one. But there's like talk about how love, if you truly love somebody, there shouldn't be shame. You know, you put shame aside and just go, I love you, or what have you. I agree with that if you do love somebody, you tell them and then see what happens. Don't expect anything from them, but put the shame aside and go, I'm just going to go for it. When I was looking up how other people felt about love and cowardice, Mahatma Gandhi said,
excellent.
A coward is incapable of exhibiting love. It is the prerogative of the brave. So if Mahatma Gandhi says it.
Well, it's just, you know, being vulnerable to somebody else is you have to be brave to be then. We've touched on that, you know, several times before. And I think Kelly's sort of filling the role of the, you know, the logical brain.
Yeah.
And Ed's filling the role of the emotional brain. And, you know, in the original Star Trek, we had McCoy as the emotional one, Spock as the logical one. You had Kirk that had to kind of consider both sides and make the right decision. We're kind of missing that right now. We've got emotional guy and we've got logical gal.
Yeah.
And we're just you know, we're just watching the hilarity ensue.
Well, yeah, you really bring up a good point because, and I didn't even realize he was saying this. It's kind of like a backhanded comment. He's calling Kelly a coward, which actually, I guess that's why I'm saying I could rather debate it as opposed to go, it's so romantic that he said that and he loves her and he's not a coward. Oh my God.
Are you doing Katharine Hepburn?
Yes, and
that is awesome.
I love it when he hits me in the face. You know, there's a lot of, you know, it does make us go, oh, he loves, but he's calling her a coward when you're totally right. In the face of logic, she's trying to be logical. She's not afraid of loving him. I mean, there might be some fear of like getting hurt again, but I think she's made a good case for the reason as to why they shouldn't be together. It sucks. And I don't think she's a coward. I think she's doing the brave thing. I think she's doing the right thing, and that's a hard thing. It's sometimes really easy to take advantage of how someone's feeling because it will make you feel good in the moment.
I think it was an attempt to manipulate.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Kelly Grayson doesn't want to be thought of as a coward. I also think that she probably wants to be seen as somebody who can exercise her own free will. And that was sort of his other line.
Yeah.
When people say timing, if you discuss timing, it's like taking your free will and throwing it out the airlock. Well, they can decide to do this, but that doesn't mean those impediments aren't going to exist. They're still going to exist in the real world. There's still going to be those dangerous missions. There's still going to be those cold, calculated decisions that need to be made. And it's going to be really tough to make those decisions when it's your life partner that you're making them with.
Yeah. Yes. I guess I just don't think I think we're on the same page with this, but I don't think he's being kind. And I don't think he's being brave. I think manipulative is the right way to look at it.
I think he's definitely a certain amount of vulnerability because he was hurt when their marriage ended, and he's willing to, as Barry Manilow would say, willing to take a chance again. But so there is, I think, some bravery there. However, that cannot be built upon by trying to tear somebody else down.
And
you can never build yourself
super
up.
Justified because he loves her. You know what I mean? He feel like, because you're so right that you can get it in your head that it has to be this way. It's supposed to be this way. And I guess that's the thing. If I'm being honest and vulnerable, I'm having a hard time letting go of what I think is supposed to be something and what my feelings say. So I guess I just relate to how he's feeling, and there's a little bit of desperation in him. And he even opens up the episode talking to Lara about how him and her experience the most insecurity of where they are in life is where they're supposed to be, or if what their position is what they're supposed to be doing, or if they're qualified. So he is an insecure man who's probably looking for Kelly to fill the pieces as opposed to complete him, or to pick up the pieces as opposed to make him even better.
And I thought that was a little bit beyond the pale when he said that to Alara. I mean, I think she's proven herself time and time again. She was the one holding the ship together, and he was, trying to, get Derulio's blue juice out of his hair. Fair. Yes. She was the one that, against, at least my better judgment, decided to throw herself through the gauntlet to recover from a traumatic experience, and got through it, with 5 stars, man, 10 out of 10. I
think you're right. I think I did kind of balk at that. I was like, what? Just
trying
to make you feel better, buddy. But you bring up in your notes, and I think this is kind of similar to the topic that we're talking about. Ed took the high road with Cassius when he decided to go talk to Cassius. When he heard that Cassius loves Kelly, he decided to help Cassius too.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things when you love somebody is to not just let them go, let them be on the path that they're on and still love them.
Yes.
While you're on the path. So by giving Cassius the advice that he did, he was loving Kelly in the right way.
I agree with that. I think the way I tracked it was he went first to apologize and maybe a little bit of, mea culpa for acting jealous and doing something embarrassing, like doing the flyby. And then, as Kelly said, he realized, wow, I would like this guy if I got to know him. And he seems nice. He seems level-headed. He did the right thing. I think Cassius was the best character on this episode in a lot of ways. He was very level-headed. He was very logical. He was compassionate. He showed some empathy towards his rival. and was trying to be more of a thermostat rather than a thermometer, then sometimes you just want to be listened to, and sometimes you just want to, listen to, vent and have somebody agree with you. And
I think she's being a little bit of a baby.
Yeah, and that's true. And he was like, "Hey, calm down. It's not that big a deal, guys.
She
do
was
things
looking
like
for
that."
a fight, Mike.
Yeah.
She was, and she went, "Oh,
That
you
happens.
calm down. I get to go."
Yep.
Yeah.
But I thought I did a great job. He's like, "Oh boy, you did what? Let me tell you a couple of things. Put on some Merlot, play Journey, put on dinner. Oh, I'm sorry, pour some Merlot and put on Journey.
Make some mulled wine."
But I do like. What do you think of this? A woman can't love a man unless he's part dope. Be a little bit of an idiot every day and a big idiot every once in a while. True, false.
I don't
silly.
love the reinforcement of a stereotype, because I think you could be a dope in a couple different ways, including being a little unavailable, a little mysterious, or screwing up or something. We certainly don't love a mansplainer, but I think women do love, this is a huge generalization, but I think we do love, I think a lot of us humans love fixing something, or love, I don't know, feeling, let me put it this way. When he said that, I'm like, do I want a dope? Is that what I want? But I love it when...
But you weren't like, yeah.
Here's what I love. I think this is the misunderstanding, or maybe like the real commentary. If someone makes a mistake, my instinct is going to be to forgive them, especially if I'm in love with that person. I want to forgive them. I don't want to know that they did something on purpose to be hurtful. So if they made a big mistake, or they were a big dope, or they said something dumb or whatever, what we'll want is the reconciliation of that. Or going, oh, you're right, I screwed that up. Or, oh, babe, I love you.
Oh, baby.
And so it's probably what that nets, not the fact that they did that.
Does it make one feel needed? Does it make one feel like they're filling a role or serving a purpose?
It's not the healthiest way to go about that, I'll tell you.
I don't think so.
I'm not saying it's a good thing if that's the case. You shouldn't have to have a mistake in order to get that person to express to you what they mean to you. Every relationship's different, but it doesn't sound like it's the healthiest way to go about things.
So, the episode hits on, we've talked about work romances in general, right? And kind of the work-life balance and that sort of line that you have to draw at some point when you're working with a romantic partner.
Right.
A whole different dynamic on his team leader and team member, though. And, we hit on that also, because then there's undue influence and there's decisions being made on somebody's career path, maybe, and those kind of things. So I think all of those issues were raised in this episode.
Strangely, I found myself in a similar situation where someone that was a higher above was dating me, and it ended badly. And no one meant to do anything wrong, but there is a responsibility, not just to the person you're dating at that point. There's a responsibility to the community at large as well, whether you recognize that or not. So there was more fallout with just more fallout than with just us. So workplace relationship, when two people are equals, it's going to happen. And a workplace relationship when one person is not an equal or higher up or whatever, it's going to happen. You're around the person all the time. I mean, let's not just discount the fact that, like, actors, when you're in a play with somebody, you fall in love with somebody. You just do. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's just something that does happen because you're with that person every day and you're expressing. And, like, I fell in love with the guy at a restaurant that I worked with because I was with him every single day. I did not like that guy when I first met him. And I knew he liked me and I wasn't interested. And he was a premature ejaculator and it was not desirable whatsoever. But by the time I was 6 months into working with him, I was into it because like the mere exposure effect.
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to date me anymore. You know, it was like how did the tables turn? So quickly?
That's like a Gordon story. You're going to need one more zipper.
I think I'm closer to him than anyone else, and it makes me sad. So, the long version of what I'm trying to say is it totally is natural. Just by how else are you supposed to meet people sometimes? But when you have other people that are close, and it doesn't just affect you at a certain point, a little bit more of a responsibility factor does come into your decisions. And yes, we give a lot of people a lot of leeway when passion takes over, or we think love's the most important thing, you know, risk it all and whatever. But to what end, ultimately?
Yes, and make sure that really that if you are the team leader in that position dating a team member, one, you got to ask yourself, is that the right thing to do? And two, don't if it doesn't end well, and like Tom Cruise said in Cocktail, it always ends bad, or else it wouldn't end. When it does end badly, as it inevitably would, make sure that this poor underling that you may or may not have been taking advantage of this whole time lands on their feet.
I guess that's what I mean is, like, I don't think most people would wish ill on anybody unless they killed their dog or something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't fallout. And so how mitigate that to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and I think that's a little hot take. Now we know how you feel about the John Wick franchise. John Wick was right.
Exactly.
You don't kill somebody's dog and get away with it.
Not in my book. No.
So what'd you get? You want to talk about morals and messages and meanings, or?
I really love that this episode talks about love and so much, and I think we saw love in its very many different forms when it came to Claire taking care of her teenage son, when it came to Claire expressing love to Isaac,
sure,
couldn't reciprocate, when it came to Gordon feeling like
more of like yes, I was going to say the Lieutenant Dan and Gordon relationship, and also sort of that, intoxicating sort of a crush, infatuation type love that Gordon had for Janelle Tyler, the dark matter cartographer.
Totally. And actually I love how they end it with, oh, she's for the captain, like it's very funny how she walks up to him at the end. I guess.
And the love that Bortus had for his crewmates. Like he said, I want the closest people that I have. That
was so surprising to me that he felt that way about those people, but also so sweet. Like,
that's great. I mean, I just got done in a 8-year work relationship with folks that I spent more time with than my family. I was in a different city working with them 4 or 5 days a week, and that's more time than I am with my family. They are your closest friends.
Yeah. Yes. And he, I guess it would be easier to conflate Bortus with like an introvert in the way that he processes things. He doesn't say much, he doesn't emote a lot, but it's his actions that show you how much he cares. And by inviting them to the Loja, you're right, we get to see that he loves and esteems these people. So
so we had that camaraderie kind of love. We had parental, we had friendship, we had estranged lovers, strange partners. New love, possibly.
And love can essentially, I think my takeaway, my morals, messages, and meanings is that if you can be present in the moment of your life as opposed to wish it was different or think it's supposed to be a certain way, you can realize that you are surrounded by love always. And like, you gotta just learn how to hang out with yourself and love yourself too. Like, I guess if the more you can be in the present moment and just be grateful for it, I think the happier you will be. It's not easy, but that's, it's a practice.
Well, that sounds pretty good. We've got Gordon, trying to get game, I think he would have been better off just being himself. Just be yourself, man. Just be nice, be sincere. Work romances are tough. I liked what Ed said to Olix, the bartender, at the end when he said, "Man, I really wish we'd have a Krill confrontation." Any idiot can face a crisis. It's the day-to-day living that wears you out. And Lieutenant Dan, don't ask for feedback if you can't handle it. Come on, man.
Such good advice. Don't give someone a reason to have a problem if you don't want them to have a problem.
Yep. Exactly right. And don't send your date a text saying you miss them when they go to the bathroom on a first date.
They call those the Bellamy's in the good old rom-com world.
So what are they going to do for B plots for the next 5 episodes, man? It looks like they used them all up in this one.
Now it's just going to be a bunch of battles. It's going to
be a bunch of spatial anomalies and Krill confrontations and shuttle disasters.
Quantum farce fields and farce fields.
Farce fields. Actually, a farce field is probably a pretty good name for...
That's what I would have named Spaceballs instead of...
so good.
Right? Farce field. It's pretty funny.
So how do you feel about the episode overall? Is it a good episode? Does it kind of live up to that Star Trek Roddenberry philosophy? Was this one that kind of got some yardage as far as giving people something to aspire to, a way to be, a way to make decisions that are better for you and the people around you and kind of humanity in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it without saying it. And a lot of people who have already watched this series agree that even more so in season 2, that this show sinks into Star Trek and good storytelling and, grounded storytelling. And I think this episode really sets us up for that very well. A couple of jokes here and there, take them or leave them, however you feel about it. I think you are so right that it was a good call not to have us hear the urination. We don't need it. It's not necessary. And we don't want to detract from the seriousness and the specialty of the ritual. So ultimately, I think there's a lot to take away from this. And I know storytelling is good when I can insert myself into pretty much any storyline.
And I think that's where it lands for me as well. So and I think that's a great note to end on.
Well, Mike, the pleasure is always mine.
It is mine as well. And Mission Log, The Orville, is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.
Join us next time on Mission Log, The Orville, as we discuss primal urges. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.